Hello fellow chicken chasers, it's been a while since I've made a video let alone even uttered the word Fable, and as a self-proclaimed fanboy of the series that is unacceptable, and as such I will now take a lashing. Ah yes, daddy! Alright, now the weird stuff's out the way, let's talk Fable, or more specifically, 10 things we'd love to see added to it. Now even though I picked these 10 out myself, they did come from your channel comments, so if this video sucks, for once, it's your fault. Anyway, let's begin. Number 1, better house customization. I've seen this one asked quite a bit, and I know a lot of people actually don't care that much aside from us kind of hardcore few that want customization in our houses to be more expanded, but I do believe that this was one of the best features about Fable 1, 2 and 3, and to have it returned but built upon would just make it that much better. One thing that always bugged me was not having fully accessible decorations from the very beginning, or at least early on. One of the worst things about the previous games was that you would have to wait until endgame to get the best decorations for your home. Now I'm not asking for any Sims level of customization here. I'm not even asking to build our own house, although that would be cool, especially because of the Hearthfire expansion from Skyrim where that let us do just that. But I do think that asking this isn't that big of a deal because we've already had it, so just expand upon it a little bit more. Allow us to change things, I guess, like the wallpaper, or move chairs around and pick different types of chairs and bookshelves and things like that. Allow us to really customize these homes even if we aren't allowed to do anything too crazy with it. At the end of the day, this isn't a massive feature like the morality system or the renown system or massive big great bosses or a massive open world, but it is one of those small things that just makes the game that much better and creates that little bit more immersion in the world. Number 2, doggos. So I've spoken about this, everyone else has spoken about this, and I know that not everybody wants to have a dog in the game, but a lot of people still do, and people don't just want a dog, they want different breeds of dogs or different pets in general. I never really understood why anybody didn't like the dog in Fable 2 and 3, but then I saw a comment on the channel that said, sometimes I like to play as an evil wizard dude and go around murdering people, but to have a cute little dog by my side kind of ruins the feel of the game, the atmosphere, and I completely agree with that. So giving us the option to leave the dog at home, it would be great. But having said that, this could cause some kind of problems. Like for example, in Fable 2, you'd have to dig and find chests and the dog would help you with that. So to remove the dog and have it optional would mean that they'd remove something like that, so meaning the dog wouldn't be that big of a companion anymore. Also, if the dog is optional, they might remove it from the story altogether. All in all, this is just one of those split things where some people want it, some people don't, and I guess the best solution would just be to give the player the choice. Number 3, realism. Now hold your horses, I know some people are going to be like, whoa, we don't want realism in Fable, and I don't think this comment actually meant realism when I read it, because when they spoke about was more of a grounded world and a grounded game, kind of like Fable 1. Grounded in the sense that things don't go so over the top that the game starts to feel fake and just a little playground that's not supposed to have any meaningful choices, something that doesn't break immersion. Something simple like actually walking on the ground and not feeling like we're floating the whole time, just stepping on air. Something like allowing us to clamber over many more objects, or not having invisible walls all across the world in every little section of it. When it comes to a game that did grounded realism correctly in its world, I would look no further than The Witcher 3, and I'm going to be using this comparison a lot, and I think it's just one of those games that forever, until a game comes out that's better than The Witcher 3, people are going to be using it as a comparison for every RPG game, but The Witcher 3 did this absolutely flawlessly. The world had a ton of magic and mystery and creatures that don't actually exist and just a bunch of stuff that are fake, but the way the game went around it made it so that it seemed real and realistic in its own world, and that's what I want from Fable, and I think that's what everybody kind of wants from Fable. Fable 3 took it a bit too far. Fable 1 and 2 I think nailed it pretty damn spot on, and it's just tough to do in general with a franchise like this because it's so hot and cold, it's so funny, light-hearted, and then dark and gruesome, and how do you balance that correctly? And that's always been something that grew a big appeal to Fable because it was so different in that sense, but it's also kind of difficult to do. Fable 3 failed, but 1 and 2 did it great, so I really hope that they can look at this more. I know I've gone on a tangent, so let's just move on now. Number 4, dynamic side missions. Now I'm not gonna lie, Fable has some of the best side missions of any game, however they're pretty much just a bunch of one and dones. Now, I don't really know what the commenter who said dynamic missions really meant, but I assume it's something along the lines of just more choices and consequences within those side missions. And I would go as far as to think they also meant to have longer side missions, ones that are side quests, like in Skyrim you have the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild quest lines that are long and stretched out. Something like that would give us a lot to do on the side, and they don't need to change anything too crazy, because again, they've had great side missions, and I can just think and recall a lot as it is right now, so just basically give us more. Number 5, a world that feels alive. When I read this one, it kind of just opened my mind of something that I never thought about when it comes to Fable, and that is the world is kind of dead, apart from the towns. Only the towns ever felt alive, but the rest of the world always felt like things had to be in certain places because they needed something. Bandits would randomly fall from trees, and enemies would always be in the same spot in each region. Even though Fable 1 changed enemy types, you still knew they were going to be there, which is like a reminder that this is a game. It doesn't feel like a unique experience like an RPG game should. I think also having animals and creatures roaming around the world that aren't always attacking us would be cool. Like, I've never seen a deer in Fable. I've never seen a horse in Fable. Do these things exist? Either way, I think everyone knows what this means. A world that feels alive. Tons of creatures, people interacting, seeing NPCs in areas that aren't just in town and aren't just traders going from place to place. Number 6, for all loved features to come back so we don't have to ask for them constantly. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. Marriage, bring it back. Landlord, having a child, companions, the arena, quest boasting, body transformation, the renown, morality systems, etc. This covers pretty much all the basics. Bring back the features that everybody loved, and then you can remove a few. I mean, I don't know if you guys care. I don't. If they don't want to bring back companions from Fable 1, I'm okay with that. If they don't want to bring back the arena, I'll be sad, but I'm okay with that. But things like body transformation, the morality system, buying houses, if this game doesn't have it, I mean, it could be great either way, but I will personally be very, very disappointed, and I know a lot of you will also be too, because these are the things that made Fable what it was. These are the things that we look at now and think, wow, that was so ahead of its time. So ahead of its time that games don't even do it now. The reason why I can keep playing Fable 1 and 2, and to some extent even 3, even though the games came out in 2004, 2008 and 2010, is because the experiences they give and the features they have, other games just don't do. So even though I've played through the story a million times and I've fought all the bosses a million times and I've married and I've gotten houses and I've just done everything there is to do, because of these systems that do not exist in The Witcher 3, that don't exist in Skyrim or the other RPGs I love to play, I can play these old games and have a fun experience, have a different experience to something that has come out now. Alright, I know, that was really fanboy-y, but come on man, this is my literal favorite game in franchise. It doesn't matter what game comes out. If you tell me right now, would you rather play the new Fable today or GTA 6? I'd pick Fable. New Fable or The Witcher 4? Fable. New Fable or The Elder Scrolls 6? Fable. New Fable or a new Viva Pinata game? I would struggle, but Fable. Number 7, different modes of traversal. Horses, boats, carriages, jumping, climbing, just something so the game doesn't feel so damn grounded all the time. When I read this, the commenter who typed this could have literally just said a jump button and it would have been on the list. I understand the apprehension that some people may have, because if you have horses and boats and a jump button, then the game's going to be completely different. It's not going to be Fable anymore. And to you people, I say this. Was Fable 2 worse than Fable 1 because you can now leap over ledges and jump and dive in the water? I don't think so. I think those things made it better. And I think if you add a jump button, maybe some clambering, maybe even a horsey-worsey, that the game would be better again. This is the same reason as to why I believe a fully open world is going to be better than a regional based one, because The Witcher 3 proved that to be true. The Witcher 2 was a great game, but its regional based open world system wasn't. And guess what, kiddos? Nobody's looking back at The Witcher 2 and going, you know what? After 3, I think the regional based system was better. Maybe we don't need things like boats or carriages, or maybe even a horse, although I think that should be the bare minimum now. Just an upgrade on the already established traversal systems would be cool. Number 8, choice and consequences. Now, when I read this, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Fable's always had this, right? But as I read the full comment, I saw they went into more detail and they were talking about things like expanding upon the choice and consequence, just making it a bit better. Fable 1 and 2 had a good amount of choice and consequence. Fable 3, not so much. So I think something along the lines of, if you're evil and you decide to go into a town and kill every civilian, the town will become a ghost town for a while. Nobody will be there. Do bad things and bounty hunters will attack you. Be good and the Chapel of Scorn members will try to assassinate you. Have main and side story decisions that alter places, like how Bowerstone Old Town in Fable 2 changed depending on the choice that you made. This is a pretty big ask, and I don't think it will be in the game to some massive extent, because doing it in side missions is one thing, but doing it to change the entire world, like how many versions of this world are they gonna have to create just so they can do this? It's a bit too much, but either way, I think just an upgrade on choice and consequence, better than Fable 3 at the very least, is gonna be nice. Number 9 is something that everybody and their mothers keep talking about, and that is a vastly improved co-op. Now, whilst trying to find suggestions about what the community wants from Fable 4, I wrote down a lot, okay? There's a massive list that I had to pick these 10 out from. However, I gotta give it to one subscriber, Tim Time, because he said, why not throw in some MMO elements into the mix, like meeting other players in the world and teaming up for co-op missions? And I think this is not only a crazy good idea, but one that probably will happen. So firstly, calm down, the game's not going to be an MMO and no one's talking about it being an MMO, but having MMO elements into it, like the Forza Horizon series has, would be really cool. In Forza Horizon, you can see other players' avatars around you and even invite them to your world or join theirs. This is a feature that could be implemented into the new Fable game, and it would make the game itself feel so unique. To see a friend of mine's hero chilling in the pub while I'm doing an adventure would be honestly something so different that we don't see in RPG games, full stop. And when I read this comment, it felt like a similar idea to Assassin's Creed Unity, where you can search for players on certain missions and dungeons around the world to do them together, but of course you can still do it all solo if you want to. There are also a ton of rumors suggesting that the new Fable game is going to bring back the Heroes Guild, so how about in the Heroes Guild you can see your friends in there as well, even if they're offline, just their avatars walking around doing stuff, they have their armor on. An experience kind of like Monster Hunter World or just something along those lines, not asking for an MMO, not changing the foundation, still making it so it is exactly what Fable was. A strong story, single player, narratively driven game, but if you choose to put it online, you can then experience all these other things. Out of all the ideas I've heard, this one gets me genuinely so excited, and again, it's not even out of the realm of possibility, as this is something Playground Games do with their title Forza Horizon. Fable 2 introduced co-op and people were not happy. Fable 3 improved upon it slightly, but again, people weren't happy, and I'm not blaming anyone because I wasn't either, okay? I mean, I'm happy just to have co-op in any game, but of course, it wasn't that great to begin with. So if Playground Games can expand it upon the level of something like a Monster Hunter World, or just better than Fable 3's, damn it, would be awesome. And lastly, number 10, a collector's edition. Confession time, I didn't really see anybody comment this. I didn't see a single comment from anybody asking for a collector's edition. So I'm breaking my own rules, okay? I'm gonna put the 10 in myself because I'm a selfish prick and I really want a collector's edition, and guess what? I think a lot of you do too. This isn't something that directly involves the game's mechanics itself, but just to have a memento of the game physically would be such a cool idea. Xbox doesn't do collector's editions anymore, and it's a shame because, yeah, having the Fable themed Series X would be cool, but I think it would be cooler to have a statue of Jack of Blades, to have a cloth map of the world, to have a bestiary, or just an art book of all the monsters in the world of Fable and the weapons and lore behind it. Screw it, whilst I'm thinking about it, put in a flipping book in there as well. I don't really care, just anything, because for me, and I assume for you too, considering that you're watching this video, and let's be honest, the Fable community is not that big right now. But for people like you and me who are such big fans, we're gonna want something like this. This is something that automatically piques our interest, and we're just like, oh yeah, I was already a fanboy, but this one, this is gonna make an ultra fanboy. There's a ton of things that Playground Games and Xbox could do with a collector's edition. I mean, just thinking about it now off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, put the music box and make it actually put the music in. So many cool ideas, and even if the collector's edition does happen and it's not that good, I would still buy it in a heartbeat. And there you have it, 10 things we would love to see added into Fable 4. Let me know if I missed something out, and more importantly, let me know what you think. Did you like some of the ideas? Did you hate them? Do you have better ideas? Because guess what? If I see some cool ideas, I might just have to make another one, and this time I'll make sure to put your comments actually on the screen, because this one was just all over the place. Either way, thank you very much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.